welcome to episode 19 of the PEON Podcast. Today's episode, we have Suk Cho, who is the bartender at Kato Restaurant in Los Angeles, and also the founder and owner of Zero Proof Drinks. She's got a really interesting perspective that we haven't heard yet about the industry. You know, she started kind of late, like me, I guess, in terms of like really dedicating yourself to cooking, and then on top of that, she's from Korea, and then immigrated from Korea, and then on top of that, she's also was one of the people at the very beginning of the Zero Proof drink movement. Working in Michelin-starred kitchens, making cocktails and starting cocktail programs without alcohol. So it's a really interesting perspective. I mean, that's become a huge craze now. I wouldn't call it a craze. I think it's something that's going to stick around for a while because I think people are drinking less. But it's one thing to make like a zero proof cocktail, but to like actually have a zero proof cocktail menu worthy of a Michelin star, now that's another thing. And that's where Suk Cho comes in. She was at the ground floor of that whole movement, and really dug her heels in and found a niche for herself there. So her story is really cool in that sense. I found Han through just looking on Instagram, and turns out that Han does a lot of work with Slow Burn. So she's in tight with Andy and Tiff there, and I think just did a dinner with them a few days ago, maybe. So a little bit of crossover there, which is fantastic. This one's a little bit of a shorter one, but I will be back with some massive episodes coming up soon. I've been on a little podcast tear recently, just recording my little ass off. Also been going to shows. Holy shit, man! It's been Oblivion Access here in Austin. 105-degree weather in Austin, doing an outdoor metal festival. Sweaty dudes and mosh pits. It's been fucking amazing. Just been seeing some shows, doing some music therapy, getting myself right, get my head right with some Godflesh and some Sissy Spacek and some Blank Hellscape. Shout out Blank Hellscape out of Austin, Texas. Underrated band. Man, who else did I see? I just saw JK Flesh last night. It's fucking amazing. I know this is a food podcast, but this is also an industry podcast. And I feel like the music industry is kind of adjacent. A lot of bars and restaurant people do both. They're in music and also work in industry. But goddamn, that shit was good. JK Flesh, if you don't know, is Justin Broderick, who's the main man behind Godflesh, which is like a legendary like industrial metal outfit from UK. But he also does like this like dark techno. Oh my god, so good. There's like just him and a laptop, and he's just fucking destroying this room with like low end and shit. But it was fucking great. It was so good. Who else did I see? I saw Clipping last night. Yeah, just give you a taste of my music taste and my taste in general, I guess. Clipping is it's been a very noise heavy kind of week now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, very noise heavy. Yeah, Clipping's like a noise rap outfit. Daveed Diggs, who's the singer, is also like big in the Disney world. Like it's weird that he has this split life between being like a huge Disney star and like being in like Broadway musicals and shit, and then he comes out and he does like this noise music, industrial, noise crossover music. It's fucking crazy. One of the most intense mosh pits I've ever been in my life. Did not mean to be in it. That's how you know it's a crazy pit, when you did not intend to be in it, not even near it, you just end up in it. It's just what happens, It's 102 degrees right now. Jesus Christ. I'm sitting outside in my garden, little garden piece, just hanging out with the plants. Yeah, later I'm going to see Godflesh and Sissy Spacek, who also, if you don't know, is a new band I found. My buddy Keaton showed it to me. Just the most heinous, like fucking disgusting, disgusting grindcore like noise shit. This guy John Weiss, who I also saw the other night, just does like kind of like horror noise music, just like very harsh sounds. Sounds like a horror movie soundtrack, but there's no movie playing. You're just hearing it. And then he does this other thing called Sissy Spacek, which is like that with just harsh, noisy bass and drums. That's gonna be exciting to see. There's probably gonna be 12 people there. Just the support for for noise bands in this city is insane. Like it's like a huge festival in this town, and I go to a show with like 4 legendary noise acts, and there's like 20 people there. It's crazy. Half of them are sitting down because it's too fucking hot in there. It was a weird vibe, really weird vibe in there. And then what else is new with me? Been creating some more dishes and getting a little more involved in that, man. It's a wild ride. I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun just like coming up with ideas based on just whatever waste product we have. That's the funnest part. It's just being like, oh, I'll make this thing because we have all this waste. It's so much fun. That's the best part about it. And then talking to chefs, obviously by doing this podcast and like learning about how they work and what they do. It's been a lot of fun, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this little barley swine run I got coming up. I think what I got planned for that is I'm really struggling for Patreon content, right? Because I just don't have the time to make any sort of extra thing. Is so I think I'm going to make episodes now that I have a backlog of episodes. I'm going to start making things available earlier on Patreon, so you have access to those sort of things. And obviously, you'll get videos if I ever record the videos. If that's something you're interested in, you'll be able to see the unedited video interviews. I'll put up Suk Cho's video interview on the Patreon in tandem with this episode. And then, so earlier releases, you'll get a week early. Ideally, this is all ideally. I still am a full-time working cook, so I can't make any promises. And then the other thing is, so for this little barley swine run I got coming up, it's one of my favorite restaurants in the world. I've idolized it for a long time. Talking to people about barley, it made me realize that I have a story of my own to tell, and that without any sort of context to anybody outside of this little barley swine world, it might not make any sense. So what I'm going to do is probably record like a solo pod, which I don't do very often, and explain, what barley swine is and what I know about it and how I came to work there and my experience working there and the people that really made a huge impact on me, and Bryce's journey, as much as I can tell from my perspective. This will all just be from my perspective and how I came to love that restaurant, and then how I got to where I am today because of that restaurant. And then I'll probably put that on the Patreon, so it'll be like a little extended edition. I'll do a little brief talk before the episodes to tell you kind of a little bit of context. But if you want my story and everything, that'll probably be up on the Patreon. I'll let you know when that's out. Yeah, those episodes are coming up next. They're a little longer. They're long guys. So I might split them into 2. I might leave them whole. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Well, next time I see you, I will have been changed by seeing Godflesh in person. I'll be an evolved human. Yeah, what do I got planned up next? Besides barley. Yeah, keep sending recommendations my way. I've got an editor now. Shout out Mason, who is helping me get these episodes together, so I have a lot more time to focus on actually living a life and and also focusing on the people that I want to talk to on these episodes. And so yeah, that's what your donations and your support goes towards. That goes towards being able to do more of this, which I really fucking appreciate. And as always, go to the Patreon if you'd want those extra little goodies, those minimal goodies, and and then let's see what else. Oh, support page, peonmagazine.com/support. And also just scroll down to the bottom of this episode. Then in the description, there's a little link. You can just donate straight from there. You can make it monthly. You can make it fucking one time. It all helps. And like I said, it's going towards researching fried chicken right now and getting these podcasts edited by Mason. So yeah, enjoy this episode. Enjoy Han's story, and see you next time.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for taking the time to join me. Yeah.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I don't know if you looked up at all what the podcast is about, but I usually just talk to people about their service industry experience. And I saw I think I was looking through Andy Dubrava's who he follows and stuff like that. And I saw this picture of you. You were talking about how you worked 16-hour day or something like that. And I was like, oh, I gotta talk to this person. Yeah. So how did you get started in the industry, in service industry?
A little bit about my background. I grew up in South Korea, countryside of Korea, and moved to the States in 2012, right after the college.
Okay. Did you go to college in Korea?
Yeah, in Korea.
Okay.
Before I became full-time restaurant industry worker, I was pursuing my career in music.
Oh, really? Wait, so you got into cooking after college?
Yeah, after college.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And before that, I was still working at restaurants to pay my bills because music don't pay your bills.
Yeah. Were you cooking at those restaurants, or were you working front of house, or what were you doing at that time?
I was doing a little bit of both. I didn't work on the line, but I was doing prep work. Well, I of course started as dishwasher and doing some prep works, and sometimes I would work from the house. Sometimes I would work as a bartender because my music career was very much gig based. My side job in restaurant also kind of became gig based, very unstable. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it mainly fine dining restaurants, or were you working at cafes, or what was the kind of?
It was mostly cafes and or mom and pops, or very small places.
Okay.
And I was at some point I was a bartender at a nightclub for a couple of months. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. So I would come back to doing preps, and then in 2014 I had quarter life crisis. And and that's a couple of years after iPhone came out, and basically starting the MP3 devices coming out, the music industry's seeing dark ages, in my opinions, because it was so easy to access for free. Musicians weren't making enough money, and there's no point of putting so much crap to make music because everything was so accessible. In that way, having stable career in music seemed very impossible without going to school for 10-15 years.
Yeah. Or touring your entire life, right? Every day. Yeah, for sure.
So I decided to shift my career in food because, funny enough, restaurant career looked more stable.
I mean, it's pretty stable, but it's funny that it's not really a big money maker. So why did you choose that food? Why did you choose
music
service?
music wasn't big money maker either, so I already have given that up long time ago, and it was very important to me to do something that I can be proud of it and actually enjoy and have some creative outlet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So at that point, did you dive into like working more behind the line?
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
I actually start like trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and studying like more about food and yeah, actually started working on the line and like try to move up from garde manger to like different stations.
What restaurant were you working at that point?
I started at Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, at the time, Patina Restaurant Group was taking care of all the food and beverage program at the Hollywood Bowl. It
Mhm.
was like a summer thing because it was only in season for like concerts for like
Mhm.
3 months out of a year.
Okay.
And then after working on the line there, I got a little arrogant, so decided to work at a pasta bar.
What did you just think you were like really, really good? You were like better than most people there? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, well, I'm not proud of this, but I worked off the clock a lot to like
Oh, okay.
learn. Also, because I felt like I started a little later than others. I didn't go to culinary school,
Hmm.
so I would,
You had a lot of catching up to do.
stay.
Is that what you meant? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah, for
felt.
sure. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I worked at a pasta bar after that. And when I became like a pasta cook at pasta bar, that's, when you feel like, oh, I made it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is a very good thing to learn, and yeah, it's a
Mhm.
great skill to have for sure.
Yeah,
What place was that? It was still in LA.
it was at Union in Pasadena. At that
Okay.
time, Bruce Kalman was the owner chef.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you just making all the pasta for the whole restaurant?
Yeah, well, they had pasta, like handmade pasta production team, and
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was on the line the cooking, and it was a crazy thing because I was part of the opening team, and we would literally do like 300 covers in
Yeah.
like 50 seats restaurant.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, and people, would order like multiple plates of pasta. And one time I actually counted and I made like 800 pastas, like pasta dishes a night. And I was like, this is
Oh
kind of
my
crazy.
God. Wow, that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
that's
you
so
didn't
fun
have.
about pasta.
Yeah.
Like if you have the system worked out and have the pasta boiler and just people with, fast hands and all the sauces already,
Hmm.
you can
Crank
bang
it
it
out.
out
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump from cooking at the Hollywood Bowl to like a high
Yeah,
paced like saute line.
I really did. Because, you're in a crazy focus for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just, feel like a machine at some point. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's when it
And
gets
I
kind of
think,
enjoyable. Yeah.
yeah, and I think you can only do that when you're in 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. At a certain
Yeah,
point, it does get very hard. Yeah. Physically on
yeah,
your body.
very, yeah, very like
Yeah.
being almost like athletic.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah. You can work crazy hours and not get tired, or, work all week
yeah,
and not have to,
hmm
and also party on top of that. But the older you get,
yeah,
the harder it is to even just like kneel down
yeah,
into a low boy, especially
yeah.
at that
My knee
pace
hurts.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. How long did you end up staying there?
I ended up staying there not too long actually. After 6 months, I had carpal tunnel on my wrist really bad.
Oh, really? Was that just from prepping everything? Like
Yeah,
chopping
just
and
from
maybe.
tossing pasta basically.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just tossing pasta. Yeah, that's something that people don't really realize about cooking. It's like those repetitive movements. Like
Yeah.
the more you do it, like the other day I was on the line and I realized that my whole right arm started hurting. And I realized that
Yeah.
because of the station that I'm working, it's all just right-handed. And so
hmm
I have to learn to like start balancing that, or it's
Yeah.
just gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be awful. Yeah, that's something people don't realize about cooking.
Yeah. When you're working like so much in the kitchen, you don't do any like workouts to
No.
actually, grow the muscle, or you don't even eat enough. You don't even eat enough
No. Not at all.
protein.
No, you
So
eat
that,
once a day,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And most of the times you're just standing there, right?
yeah. That's when I like really realized that I need to take care of myself physically to continue
Mhm.
in this profession. Because I was
Yeah.
like out work for like 3 months just waiting to get healed, and that's
Oh,
very
dang.
it's really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. How old were you at this point? Like how many years were you in the industry?
Like total 10 years. Yeah, I mean like
Okay.
really being professional, like a year. But I
Oh, a year.
started,
Yeah.
yeah, but I started like working in a restaurant like part times since I was like 16.
So it was a slow build up to that
Yeah.
injury. Yeah, for sure.
hmm
Did you did you have to leave the restaurant at that point?
I did, and that was really hard because I was like, I'm a rock star here making 800 pasta, but I have to leave.
Yeah. So you didn't get to
Yeah.
come back. You had to give up that job.
Yeah, I did give up the job, but
Mhm.
after that, after that, I had more fun job came in, which is this restaurant called Little Sister in Los Angeles.
Okay.
It's like French Vietnamese.
Oh, okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, like new generation Vietnamese food, which I had no idea anything about Vietnamese food at that time, but it's something
Mhm.
I wanted to explore. And
Yeah.
and I just ate there. I always dine at restaurant before I start working there.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
I ate there first and then just like blown away by all the flavors and different ingredients and cooking techniques. So I started there like as soon as I was feeling fine with my wrist.
Was that is that a fine dining restaurant or is it more casual?
It's more casual. It's still
Okay.
like full service restaurant, and I think the check average is about like $80 per person at that time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, kind of casual. It's fun because the dining room there's bar seating, kind of looks like sushi bar, but instead of
Okay.
making
That's cool.
sushi, the cooks make the Vietnamese spring rolls.
Oh, really? Like fresh, like right in front of you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
hmm
That's really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I started doing that, enjoyed a lot. Also worked a lot of off the clock, but
Is
yeah.
that something that's typical in LA? It's for
I
like
think
you to work off clock, or is it expected of you?
I think it was at that time, and but I don't think it is anymore because I think a lot
Yeah.
of restaurants got sued at some point, so they just like stopped doing that, which is good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But did
hmm
you find that you would clock out and then your superiors would expect you to stay longer, or was that just you? Yeah,
Yeah.
your superiors were doing
hmm
that. Yeah, damn,
Yeah.
that's messed up.
Yeah. I would see like my bosses, like the hourly sous chefs, they are forced to clock out and do inventories.
What? That's messed up. Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what was it like working there? Did you end up working like a hotline, or did you just do you prep, or what was it?
I was working the spring roll station the whole time.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
about a year. And it was fun because I get to actually do some like guest facing service because
Mhm.
they're like right in front of me. And also it's in downtown LA where the lunch was much busier than dinner. It was a
Okay.
nearby courthouse, so like lots of like lunch crowd coming in and get a couple spring rolls and leave. So it's very like turn and burn for lunch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought I will never work at sushi bar or
Yeah.
sushi like restaurant in that setting. It just didn't feel right for me. So that was
Was
like
it?
perfect. It's like same kind of setting, but without instead of cooking Japanese food, I'm cooking Vietnamese food.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a great concept that most people don't really
Yeah.
do. Yeah, fresh spring
hmm
rolls. Yeah. So why'd you end up leaving that place?
Too many work off the clock.
Yeah, just burn out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then I wanted to move to like Michelin-starred restaurant.
Really? So I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, like this whole time, were you sort of gunning for something or were you just trying to soak up and learn everything you could?
Yeah, I was just trying to soak up and learn everything I could, but in my head, I always want to move up, quote unquote, better places with higher standard, and eventually wanted to reach to like Michelin 3-star restaurant.
Wow. Okay. So you started at a one Michelin star. What place was that?
After Little Sister, I started working at Providence.
That is that in LA or is that in San
Yeah, it's
Francisco?
also in LA.
Okay. I must be thinking
Yeah,
of something else in San Fran. Who's the chef there?
his name is Michael Cimarosti.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, very seafood focused, and they kept 2 stars for years, and it's been open about like 15 years now.
How was that? That must have been a huge jump from making
It,
spring rolls to
yeah,
a Michelin star line.
it was huge jump, especially I didn't know how tasting menu service works.
Yeah.
And just learning that itself was the hardest thing in the beginning. But once I realized that, oh yeah, you just fire one after another
Yeah.
and know that's coming,
Yeah.
I kind of got into the rhythm. And once you get into the tasting menu of rhythm, it's, everything just comes all together.
Yeah. Yeah. How was your stage there? First walked into that kitchen because it must be a shock. I don't know.
It was interesting because the first time staging, they said they're not hiring.
Okay.
I decided to show up until they decide to hire me.
Okay.
So the second time they said still no, and the third time they're finally like, fine, you can work here.
So you didn't take no for an
And
answer. Yeah.
no,
Cool.
yeah, I was like, I really
Yeah.
want to work here because I also
Yeah.
had eaten there before, and
Okay.
I just wanted to learn everything they do. It was like very special, pound for pound, like bite to bite. I was like, I wanted to learn everything they do, and I did.
Yeah. Did you start from the bottom there? Like
I
Garmo
started
and work.
from Garma and worked fish station at some point, which was working fish at a seafood restaurant is the most special thing.
Yeah. It's a very
Worked
important job.
out at some point. And wonderful thing about Providence is they have a fish butchering room. It's a whole
Cool.
refrigerated room, so you don't have to like keep bringing ice and stuff. And the way they treat their seafood is the best. It's just the freshest. Everything is on ice and everything get changed every day, all the inventories. Also, like cooking wise and trading seafood wise, I think I learned at Providence the most.
That's great. Was it a good environment to learn, or did I always feel like Michelin star places could be kind of intimidating or somewhat toxic, but did you find it was a pretty good place to?
It was. There was absolutely no working off the clock, and
That's great.
Like and relatively respectful environment between like in the hierarchy.
That's great.
And everybody helped each other. It was a very good environment.
Well, that's great. That's good to hear. Yeah, especially for a 1 or 2 Michelin star place.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful that my first Michelin star restaurant was a great environment to work at because it's usually not the case.
Yeah, I've heard some hellish stories from people on and off this podcast. So yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. And also since like I think he's like he's really good friends with Gordon Ramsay, so he's always like on his shows, I think. And
Yeah, Chef Michael is just a chill dude who cares so much about fish and
those are
actual like the ocean environment.
oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long did you end up staying there?
I ended up staying there for a year. It was very long year, now that I think of it. It was
Yeah,
just very, very hardworking and absorbing so much in that
yeah.
year.
It's like an overload, sensory overload kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
hmm
Where did you end up going after that then? And actually, why did you end up leaving then? Was it just too much work, or just too much for what you were doing?
I wanted to see something higher, something more.
Okay.
Because Providence was great work environment, but I knew there was like something more because
Ooh.
at some point I realized that LA, like the service step wise, the front of the house,
Mhm.
so many people are, actors, musicians, comedians. This
Oh,
isn't what they
okay.
do for a living. They're
Yeah.
not like hospitality professionals.
Yeah.
And I wanted to experience people who are actually professionals who do this for a living
Yeah.
full time, and this is all they think about.
Yeah.
And LA didn't have that at that point. So I wanted to move to Bay Area where
Okay.
the standard of service is higher.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you end up there?
So after Providence, I started working at Single Thread Farms.
Is that
Yeah,
a
which
restaurant,
is
or is that a
yeah,
farm? Okay.
it's a farm restaurant in Sonoma, Galesburg.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and when I joined the team, they had opened for about a year, just received their second star, and they gave me a choice to work either back of the house, start as a commie, or front of the house,
Was it,
but not just being a captain. Yeah, yeah. It's a non-alcoholic beverage pairing curator.
okay. Yeah, for
Yeah.
like non-alcoholic cocktails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like
Cool.
wine pairing but non-alcoholic.
Yeah, that's a huge thing nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So at that time, nobody was doing that other than
Yeah, for
single
sure.
thread at that time. And I was like, this is intriguing and it's something very new, and I can incorporate my front of the house skill and
Yeah.
bartending skill and cooking skill all at the same time. So I decided to take that job and
Was
did
that
that for,
was was that new at that time? Like, I mean, the actual program that was it starting when you got there, or had they already had it in development for a
they
while?
already had in development, and the
Okay.
previous person had just left the position. So the position was empty, and it
hmm
was kind of like everybody trying to chip in the idea, but nobody was really in charge.
Okay. Okay.
So I kind of like demanded that, like, I have all this experience, I think I can do it. And there's also like no like department head. It was just all me. So they wanted to have someone they can just like trust and go, like no need to train.
Is there actually a farm attached to the restaurant? So did you get to use a lot of that stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they have the farm like a mile away from the restaurant.
Oh, nice. That's
And
really great.
Sonoma is just such a great like farming
Yeah.
area. So I did use a lot of the produce from the farm. Like one year they planted way too many strawberries. Like way too
Okay.
many. Literally like
Yeah.
600 like Lexan full of strawberries twice
Ooh.
every week.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was using strawberries for a lot of drinks and make jams and send people home with it, or yeah,
Yeah.
Also,
Dang.
the restaurant had their own forager. So I
Oh,
would
that's
go
great.
out,
That's cool.
yeah, I would go out with the forager and, get all the organics in Sonoma and use that as the ingredients for the pairings.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was a beautiful time.
Yeah. How how popular was that? Were people really invested in that when they came to dine, or is it something that you kind of maybe not forced on people, but did you incorporate it into the tastings so that people kind of got used to it?
Yeah, it became quite popular
Yeah.
because, Sonoma is wine country, but still there are people who come and decide not to drink or drank too much for wine tasting. And when they come to the restaurant, they decide to
Mhm.
get non-alcoholic pairing. So
Okay,
at some point, like non-alcoholic pairing was selling just as well as wine pairings.
that's awesome. Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing, especially in wine country.
Hmm. And
That's
it's
really cool. Yeah.
such a new thing that people are curious
Hmm.
about it because,
Yeah,
wine, you can kind of get it anywhere, but non-alcoholic pairing, they could only get it there. Mm.
yeah, for sure. And like, was it? Were you using like a standard bartending style? You know what I mean? Like, were there like sours and like quote unquote, like whiskey drinks? Like were you using the standards of bartending to make drinks, or was it you creating something completely new?
I was creating something completely new.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because also it was very important to me to not mimic the flavor of alcohol.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
also, I didn't want anything to be like overly sweet, like juices. It's like a
Yeah.
mixture of tea, juice, botanicals, and herbs, but something just completely new.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I guess what was the equipment like there? Were you using some really high end stuff to make these drinks and like tinctures and whatnot, or are you literally just working with what you got in the kitchen?
Yeah, working with what I get from the farm or sometimes farm crops.
Hmm.
And during corn season, I used a lot of corn silk and corn husks, like the byproducts,
Hmm. Yeah,
or like foraged mugworts. So yeah, lots of free like trash I made into money.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
favorite thing. I love that. I love
Hmm.
taking the trash, the waste, and making something delicious. It's the best part.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Did you get any recognition for that? Like, did they sort of not just from the people you worked with, but also from like Michelin or anything like that?
I I did.
Oh, that's great.
Year after we received our third Michelin star. At that time, San Francisco Chronicle, the deputy of food writer was Soleil Ho,
Hmm.
and she does not drink alcohol. And when she came into Eat at Single Thread, she really enjoyed my pairing, and she wrote about it wrote about it very little bit as a chronicle.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, and then like non-alcoholic beverage start getting a little bit more popular.
Hmm.
And there's this food writer in New York. Her name is Julia Bainbridge.
Hmm.
She was writing her non-alcoholic drink book called Good Drinks at that time. And
Okay.
she came all the way to Sonoma to interview and share recipes and like really start seeing the beginning of the boom of non-alcoholic drinks.
That's awesome. So you were part of that?
Yeah.
That's great. So you're in that book. Did she came to just like hang out with you and see what you were doing?
Two of my recipes end up being in that book, which I am like very
Huh.
honored.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Mhm.
fantastic. Yeah. How long do you end up staying there and like helping develop that program?
End up staying there about 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
then, yeah, and I still had my family living in LA. And I realized that LA is my home and where my heart is. So I came back.
Yeah. So you said you got 3 stars at that place. Like, so when you started, they were 2 stars, right? And then they got a third while you were there. What was the lead up to that? Like, were you guys actually gunning for a third, or was it something that happened? And what was the environment in there trying to get that third?
Quite relaxed and like very kind environment.
Really?
But
Okay.
yeah,
I just always imagine 3 stars being such a hard thing to get and such a high stress. That's amazing to hear.
yeah, yeah. And I am very grateful that Single Thread is a place where I got my 3 stars because, I only know the horror stories about 3-star restaurants.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
Single Thread was very like kind environment. They were very like strong on taking care of each other first
Mhm.
before we take care of other guests. When they first opened, they aim to achieve 3 stars in like very quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they were gunning for 3 stars the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
No, they didn't give
Did
me
they?
any pressures. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
They were very like easy on the program. Also, like there was no other NA program to like
Oh,
compare with.
okay. So yeah, so new
Yeah.
that it's already exciting and interesting enough. Yeah. Well, that's really great. Yeah. What is the lead up to getting a third star like, or what was it like for you guys?
I think since the beginning, like before even they got 2 stars, their standard was already 3 stars.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of upper managements were from other 3-star restaurants. Yeah, they didn't change much when I started, but the standard was already very, very high.
Huh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you said you ended up moving back to LA after that, huh?
hmm
What did you end up working at a restaurant, or did you take some time off? That's a pretty high stress
I,
environment. So
yeah.
I can imagine you taking some time off.
Well, I took maybe like a month off. That's when I also got married.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so we took like a little honeymoon and came back to LA, and I started working at Dialogue in Santa Monica. It is by Chef Dave Barron. He was at Alinea for 10 years,
Wow. Okay.
and then he moved to LA and opened Dialogue. It's tasting menu, 1 star. It's like Californian Midwestern cuisine.
Okay. So like Midwestern food, but using California produce, kind of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not like typical. I don't want to say typical, but it's not like Midwestern food, but very like innovative, something that you've never had before. Like every course was like something you've never tasted before.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Did you eat there as well before you started?
hmm
Okay. What drew you to that place then?
I did the non-alcoholic um, beverage pairing program there as well, and the
Was it?
hardest part is it's like 20 courses.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very large tasting menu.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
20 courses. So
And everything has a pairing?
no, pairing is like every other courses.
Okay. I was gonna say that's a
Yeah.
lot.
The wave of the tasting menu food wise is it's seasonal, but not just
Mhm.
not just the season you're in. It's the season before, present, and after. So for
What do you
example,
mean?
if you're in summer menu is starts in spring, like the concept of spring.
Mhm. Oh, I see. Like, so the first courses are spring, and then it moves into summer, and then the later courses are into fall. That's an interesting
Yeah,
concept.
it
Okay.
is.
Well, that is really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, throughout 20 courses, you see the graduation of changing season
Okay.
and end up with future.
That's a really cool concept. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have to do that for the non-alcoholic drink course as well? Like the same way?
Yeah. hmm
Wow.
Like
Okay.
incorporating the similar like seasonal ingredients with the food.
Okay. Did you Did they have a non-alcoholic beverage program there, or did they kind of poach you and kind of recruit you? Like how did that work?
Yeah, they had it before I started, but also like it was, sommeliers and chefs kind of pitching ideas. They didn't really have a
Mhm.
person who's in charge, just like any
Yeah,
other restaurant.
yeah.
So my husband already had worked with Chef Dave Barron before, so we got connected, and I said,
Mhm.
I do this at Single Thread, and I would like to do this at the restaurant.
Okay, and he was down for it.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. How was that environment? Because I've heard some not so good things about Alinea. Did was
Yes,
it a good environment to work in under
it
under
really
that guy?
was.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I think Chef Dave left Alinea because he didn't want to be in that environment anymore.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
dialogue was actually pretty, like, also another like relaxed but hardworking, no yelling whatsoever.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
And
good.
still a lot of work, but it's a very small team. The whole restaurant is like 700 square feet.
Oh wow. Okay, that's very
Yeah.
small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in like a little food court. You have to have a secret password to get into the restaurant, like a speakeasy.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was like 6 people team, both front and back. Everybody does
Mhm.
everything, and very intimate, but
Well,
hardworking and happy environment.
that's great to hear. How long
Yeah.
did you end up staying there? How long did you cultivate that program?
I ended up staying there for about 8 months. I would have stayed longer, but my parents in Korea was having health issues.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to leave for a couple months, and then pandemic happened.
Did it
Yeah.
happen when you were in Korea?
Yeah. I
Wow.
almost
Okay.
couldn't come back
Yeah. So you almost got stuck in South Korea.
for
Wow.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. So you had managed to get back. What did you do when you got back?
When I got back, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a job, and nothing was opened. And
Mhm.
I knew that I want to pursue my career in like non-alcoholic beverages, but like there's no restaurants open, so I was kind of hanging out for a couple weeks until I got a job at Naka.
Okay. Is that a
It,
restaurant? What is that?
Yeah, it's a Japanese like kaiseki restaurant in LA,
Oh, okay.
2 stars.
And they were open?
They were not like open for dining, but they had to start doing takeouts.
Okay. Two-star
Yeah.
takeouts. That's cool.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they needed a cook. Yeah, because all the cooks who were working there, they didn't want to come back to work because of, the germs and virus. So I
Those are
started there, and we were doing like bentos
okay.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 100 to 200 bentos every day for like a year. Yeah.
Wow. 200 bedrooms a day for a year. And did you stay there when they opened back up?
I did.
Yeah.
I stayed there when they opened back up, and I realized that I want to go back to doing what I was doing, like the
Was it
beverage and front of the house stuff.
yeah, not cooking anymore?
Yeah, not cooking anymore.
Did you do the beverage program there? Did they not have one?
Oh, it wasn't their best interest. So I
Mhm.
left Naka, and now I'm a bartender at Kato, Kato. It's Taiwanese
Mhm.
American tasting menu restaurant, 1 star in downtown LA.
That's what you're doing now, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you're full on bartender now. You're not just doing non-alcoholics, you're doing everything?
Yeah, I'm doing non-alcoholics and alcoholics.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And is that pairing or is it just a la carte kind of thing?
They do have pairing options. So me and our bar director, Austin Hennelly, we collaborate on everything, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. I guess do you have some future moves that you're trying to make, or is this something you're into right now?
So beginning of 2020, I also started my own beverage company called Zero Proof.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Is that canned non-alcoholic cocktails?
It's in a small bottle. It's like a small 7 ounces champagne bottle.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's cool.
Yeah, because
I,
the color of the beverage is very important to me because it's like a
mhm,
sign of using, no food colorings, but also like just good ingredients.
mhm.
So I
Yeah.
have that business and sell it at restaurants in Los Angeles.
Are you planning to? Are you trying to go national or worldwide with it?
I am not actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know like business wise it's such a like wrong decision, but it is very important that I am all the stuff that I'm very hands on. The ingredients I use are mostly like farmers market, like California ingredients or very
Okay.
selected ingredients that comes from Korea. So
Oh,
it's
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, so it's very hard to do it like mass produce or even go with like go
Mhm.
bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to go more like these things are very good and it's hard to get.
Yeah, that's a good way to go about it. Yeah, because then people will
Hmm.
seek it out. Yeah,
Hmm.
it makes it local and special, which is always
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one year I used Californian melons to make
Mhm.
sparkling melon in a bottle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's
and
awesome.
things like that you can't get it anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm guessing that like adding preservatives and stuff like that would completely ruin the I guess how do you bridge the gap between people? I mean, there are people who are really into non-alcoholic beverages now, but I mean, do you find that you have to convince people or like, sorry, word, like sort of use the conventions of cocktails to get people on board, or you just do what you do, and if people come along, they come along?
Yeah, I just do what I do, and I am totally fine with people not liking my stuff. Yeah, like if they get it,
Yeah,
yeah, if they get it, they get it. If they don't, I mean, I still like it.
yeah.
And
Well, that's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
back to my point. Like I'm not doing this to become like a millionaire.
yeah. You're just doing it
Yeah,
for fun and because you enjoy it
yeah,
and you want to see it in the world. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
because I like the process of creative, outlet, and I think that's very important motto to have as an artist because all restaurant workers are artists.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
I have this dream of opening up a bar and
Well,
have a beverage menu. Like alcoholic beverage menu is just as big as non-alcoholic beverage menu, and like East Asian theme, like Korean, Japanese, and Taiwanese, with some delicious bar snacks.
that's awesome. I mean, California's a great place to do that. The
Yeah.
produce is incredible and the large variety. And
Hmm.
yeah, there is still a bunch of like Asian produce, right? Like
Yeah.
California has tons of Asian producers, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
like Asian greens and yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah. And
great.
I really enjoy working with local farmers. And my favorite thing is getting all their seconds and make something great out of it.
Oh, you mean like stuff they can't really
Yeah. Yeah.
get rid
Like
of?
the
Yeah.
imperfect produces.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Mm.
That's awesome. So are you mainly like specializing in utilizing food waste?
Yeah.
You try to. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
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 also
fantastic.
very important for me. And that's how I got connected with Andy Dubrava and Tiffany Ortiz because,
Mhm,
of their upcycle cooking.
mhm.
And I collaborated with them for a few dinners. Like the things that they can use even with their upcycling techniques, I would make beverage out of
Mhm.
it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When was that?
That was not too long ago, last summer actually.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And now, now
yeah.
they're touring and coming back next week, so we're gonna collaborate again, and I'm gonna utilize their trash to make more drinks.
That's awesome. Are they collaborating? Or are they coming to your bar or restaurant right now, or is it somewhere else?
Oh yeah, it's different like private events.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, that's an exciting thing to look forward to. I mean, I hung out with them when they were here in Austin, Texas, and their larder is incredible. So I'm sure you'll have plenty of stuff to work with. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's exciting. I'll keep a lookout for that. I love seeing Andy and Tiff's pictures and seeing what they're working on. It's amazing. So I'm excited to see what you do with them.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, it's a great talk. And yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Have a good day.